You are now tuned into Flippin the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 94 of Flippin the Birds. I'm Brian Cameron. He's Chris Infante alongside Morgan Burkett, and we are back. How you feeling, guys?
One step closer, man. I'm just ready for the season to start. I mean, preseason, I got a little taste, but I don't know. It just amped me up even more. Not even a great preseason game for us, and I just got excited. So I'm ready.
Preseason got the juices flowing.
Yeah, for sure.
My juices have been flowing for a long time. Wait, what kind of juices are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we see you got the juices flowing just by the shirt post here.
I'm just showing off my tan lines.
Yeah, right. I appreciate
so
that.
anyways, we're going to kick off today's episode of Flipping the Birds. So really quick, just to answer Hassan, forgive me if I say this wrong.
Liam, this is not his podcast.
Yes, we are part of Philly Sports Networks, but this is a different
Jesus
podcast
Christ,
outside
Hassan,
of Liam.
like, what the fuck?
So yeah.
Oi.
It's been a very eventful couple of days. I mean, Quez Watkins has been the buzz out of training camp, and now Jalen Hurts all of a sudden is taking the spotlight a little bit with his teammates believing that he's undoubtedly the franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. So how we get a steal in the second round out of Jalen Hurts?
I think so. I mean, yeah, defer to me. I appreciate that. I'll go second, and then Chris can say everything that I've been saying wrong. So it works out that way.
No, I'll just say I agree with Morgan, and then that's it. Done.
I mean, it's off-season talk too, right? So I think that what we're really looking at is the progression. So, I mean, is this guy your franchise quarterback? It's year 2, really year 1.5 for the man. But hey, I love his leadership. And it seems I'm not seeing things. You know, the guys on the roster are seeing the same thing I'm seeing with the interviews, and I'm not the only one seeing it. Obviously, everyone's kind of picking up on it. Love the guy's leadership, especially for a team where maybe some work ethic, maybe some gelling issues were a problem in the past. I think you bring a guy in who is solving those issues right off the bat is a huge move. Now, like Victor's mentioning, play is going to play a huge part. We'll see if this team starts losing, how he kind of rallies the troops. But he's taking the steps we need to see early on. So I like it for sure. I like what he's doing.
Well, he's obviously, done all the right things, said all the right things, thrown all the right things apparently in training camp and all that. I think there's a lot of things that go into this. Obviously, he has to play well. Mm-hmm. But outside factors also have to contribute to that. Does he play well enough for the Eagles to not want to go get another quarterback next year? Does he play another quarterback well enough for the Eagles not want to draft another quarterback next year? Does he play or does he, even if he doesn't play well enough, do other quarterbacks not become available? Do the college quarterbacks not play as good? So they're like, oh, you know what? We'll give him one more year. I think he's going to play well enough. He has all the weapons around him, but you got to, next year is going to be Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be very available. Mm-hmm.
Don't say the next name.
I'm not going to say him because I don't want him. You don't know who else might be available out there. And then in the draft, you don't know who comes out in the draft. You don't know where the Eagles are sitting. I'm sure if the Eagles are sitting with a top 10 pick, they're going to be very tempted to take one of the top quarterbacks. But I saw our friend Jordan Reed, who came on the podcast many weeks ago before the draft. He came out with a top 10 mock draft for next year already, and he had the Eagles sitting at 6. Which a lot of people have them around there, and he has them taking Derek Stingley. Now, if the Eagles can, we all expect this to be really a install year. Give Sirianni a year to install his offense and all that, and let's see how it plays out. If Jalen Hurts shows enough that it's really been more on the defense, that's why this team hasn't done much this year, and Jalen Hurts shows enough that, like, hey, give him another year in this offense, and he's going to go good. And you can get a Derek Stingley next year and keep Jalen Hurts in your offense, and then you have another 1 or 2 first-round picks on top of that. That's that. Yeah, that's that.
What is the likelihood that Jalen Hurts actually ends up being as bad as for some weird reason? Like, I'm not on the boat that's saying that this kid is gonna, not be good this season. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be great, but I think he's gonna be more than good enough. But what is the odd that this kid actually ends up flopping, like, after what we saw last season?
Well, I think that for Jalen Hurts, it's going to be more about the bottom line than the top line. I mean, again, weird season last year, really first real season as the starter. I'm not really too worried about him being insanely good, right? And that's a bonus, but I think it's going to be limiting mistakes. And even just what we've seen of him so far in the preseason, a couple drops, one missed throw with Quez Watkins that, again, some of the coaches attributed to, getting stuck on the jam. So, and that's something I like already too, that they're saying, okay, we're not gonna blame everything immediately on the quarterback, right? Like, the receivers can get off their blocks a bit better, can get off their jams a bit better. So I think for him, it's going to be limiting the mistakes. And what I saw from the first preseason game, again, I know it's just, it was 2 series, but making the right reads, not leaving any free yards on the field. I don't need him to hit, bombs down the field every play. I need him, to march down the field for me to say it's a successful season. So the chances that he flops, I mean, pretty low. I think when quarterback, it's going to be a quarterback that they really love. So if they see a guy in the first round that's like, that's our guy, that's the guy that's going to fit into the system, I think that's going to move on. I don't think it's going to be a case of Jalen Hurts sucking. That's what I think.
So weirdly, I mean, we all know the obsession that the front office has with Russell Wilson, and there's been weird comparisons out there that, comparing Hurts' potential to that of Russell Wilson, and it all makes too much sense for the Eagles to ride behind Jalen Hurts no matter what after the season. I don't, like I said before, I don't
How
see
he
the
got
kid
his Russell
flopping.
Wilson after he missed out on Russell Wilson.
That's literally what happened. I mean, he got his Russell Wilson in the second round. The guy can make plays with his feet. I mean, he seems to be reading defenses a bit better this season. I mean, for what we saw in preseason action when he checked out of that one play. It's all, I don't know. I'm trying not to be biased, but to me, it's all leading in the right direction. I don't see how this kid could really flop unless we have an issue where the top wide receivers go down in injuries again.
I don't think it's going to be – I don't think he can – I think what he's shown so far, obviously it's offseason, preseason, I don't think you can say he's going to flop. I think if he does bad, it's probably going to be a product of what's going on around him.
What's a bad season for Jalen Hurts to evaluate him, in your opinion?
He needs to grow in accuracy. Like that's he needs to. He had like what, a 57% or what, a little less than that 52. Last year in four games, 52. So if he doesn't get to at least 60 this year, I don't think he showed much progression. And you're looking at you try not to throw out so many numbers, because obviously when you throw out numbers,
they could be skewed.
But at the same time, you need players to help you get those numbers as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. So, I think if we see he continue to be irresponsible with the ball, like we saw him in the 4 games with all his fumbles and stuff, and obviously those were rookie moves. When Carson did that as a rookie, we're like, okay, he's a rookie. When he did that as a 5th-year starter, we're like, no, okay, get the fuck out.
Yeah,
it's weird. So if we see him not doing that anymore, or if we see that continue to do that, be reckless with the ball, we're gonna be like, well, he's obviously not gonna learn. But I think this it's very refreshing to see how hands-on this coaching staff has been. Like, they are Absolutely. Like in your face through these drills, like with the handling drills that they're doing, with the handoffs and the fumble drills that they're doing. They're really focusing on your hands, and because that was a big thing for the Eagles last year. And it's I don't think fumbling would be an issue. I think dropsticks will be an issue. We've seen that with Sanders. We've seen that with a few other receivers on with getting balls from Jalen Hurts. But I think it's if Hurts, doesn't flops, it's because everything else around him flopped for him.
Mm-hmm. What do you think more?
Yeah, I think for me it's going to be like unforced errors, turnovers. I think for this offense, it's really focused on efficiency. Even in the preseason game, we're starting to see that. If this is a team where we can score on screen passes to the wide receiver, we're going to be able to run the football for 5 yards of carry without issues. We're going to be able to move teams. It's really not much a quarterback has to do for this team to be quite an average team, a good team. So I think for me, it's going to be, those unforced errors, those turnovers, bad checkdowns, stuff like that, right? And again, this is a guy that knows how to win games. It's not really what I'm expecting. I know he knows how to hold on to the football and not make those mistakes. But that would be a big. If we see some regression in that area or just some bad giveaways, I think just this coach to create a system that doesn't do that. So that's going to be a big red flag if we start to see that. But again, it's not what I'm expecting. I think he'll do a good job of that. And then all he really has to do is show some growth in what Chris is talking about, the accuracy, and just making some big plays downfield, man. That's something we saw a glimpse out of in a couple of games there. Mostly the Cardinals game with the arm and then the Saints game with the legs. But if we start to see more and more of that, that's when you start getting into the talk. And I'm sure the Eagles fans will hop right on board, that Russell Wilson talk where, two-way guy. But Russell Wilson, another guy, doesn't turn the football over.
That's very true. And Russell Wilson is a huge student of the game, which is phenomenal.
Hassan needs to stop yelling.
But you mentioned it. Jalen's, he's beating teams with his legs. He didn't beat the Cardinals with his arm, but he did throw for over 300 yards in that game. And I mean, numbers wise, you can't really evaluate a QB by wins, in my opinion. That's a very unfair idea or theology. Evaluating Jalen Hurts by numbers, are we talking about like a season where 9 to 10 interceptions and possibly like 27 touchdowns?
Here's
is that success? Is that how we evaluate it?
Let's. Would you say
what was he on pace for last season? I feel like you wrote an article and you had those numbers.
I did, but I had those numbers, but they're like 4 games. Like I don't really like, using 4 games as to project. I do it just because I'm an asshole and I do those things. But so here's the thing. Would you call? Here's my. It's hard to do numbers. Would you say Tyra Taylor was a very successful quarterback?
I feel like he was a very inconsistent quarterback.
Tyra Taylor has a career 54 touchdowns in 10 years. So 10 years. 54 touchdowns. Obviously, he hasn't played that much. And only 20 interceptions. Yeah, in 2015, he had 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He made the Pro Bowl in the Bills. That was when the Bills made the playoffs, and they bought wings for the Bengals. 2016 with the Bills, he went 17-6. 2017 with the Bills, he went 14-4. So obviously, a lot of touchdowns, not too many interceptions. But do we think he's really successful? Like it's Tyra Taylor. That's my thing with numbers. Obviously, he was only averaging those years, 2015, 216 yards per game, 201, 186. So obviously, he's not a great passer, but he was a smart passer, and so he didn't really turn the ball over that much.
But he didn't really have the weapons that they have now.
No, he didn't.
But that the Eagles have right now, per se.
But Jalen Hurts can obviously throw for 350, 400 yards. We've seen that a couple times already. But we need him to find the balance of that Tyra Taylor and that Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over either.
So isn't the balance Russell
Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, isn't that the in between?
I guess Russell Wilson.
Wilson had what? He had 13 interceptions last season, 40 touchdowns. That's an incredible ratio.
13 interceptions is the most in his career. So when you're Russell Wilson, you can have a dancing. But this is the reason why, and I think Ron makes a good point. This is the reason why Aaron Rodgers kind of ran away with the MVP title at the end of the year. It's because we started to see that. But, a guy that over his career, not turning the ball over very often, behind a pretty terrible offensive line as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think what it is too is within the context of an offense, right? This is an offense that went out and spent money on receivers and spent draft picks on, well, not money, but draft picks on receivers and young receivers. There's going to be mistakes, so they're going to depend on a little bit of growth from Hurts. Whereas Tyra Taylor, in an offense usually that knows what they're getting, has that stability at running back, and that's kind of where, there's that we're in the middle, right? We have that running back crew. We can depend on the Eagles running the football, but we'd like to see that jump with the receiving core and the quarterback. So I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on that, and if it's just screens, it doesn't really matter. If we can score on screens, it doesn't matter much. Those yards, those numbers are going to go up. So it really depends on how his offense is functioning. You got to put everything into context, right? So if we're able to get one long pass a game and we're winning games with our running game and screens, then he doesn't really need to do more. But I think then in the playoffs, if we're talking about that, if we're running the football, we're scoring on screens, we're talking about a possibly a playoff team here, and that's when you're going to say, okay, how good is this guy when he's playing good defenses? That's one of the things is except for the like Tampa Bay, we're playing some really good teams early on, but not great defenses. Chance to score. There's some hard matchups there. Don't get me wrong, but he might be able to get a rhythm.
So I'm assuming Morgan's Wi-Fi is actually a Dallas Cowboys fan, because
I'm cutting out.
We're getting some freezing hot takes from you.
Yeah, I'm
so
sorry.
Moving on from you're good, brother. We're still getting all the takes from you. Don't worry about it. Moving on from Jalen Hurts, we did see the. Oh, do you guys want to talk about preseason first, or you want to go directly to what happened today?
Wherever you want to go with that shiny head of yours.
It's the damn I have 6 lights right above me, and I hate it because the position that I'm in, it just makes it look like
that thing.
I don't know.
The freaking Puerto Rican Professor X.
It says the one who's wearing my daughter's tank top.
It has Popeye on it.
Oh, Popeye's a legend.
See, he says Popeye does hugs, not drugs. No,
yeah,
sorry. He does. No. Popeye does spinach, not drugs. Sorry.
I kind of like the hugs, not drugs. Part.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification.
Sorry.
It kind of ruined it, honestly.
Yeah, my bad.
But yeah, let's talk preseason. Quez Watkins. I mean, that's the main topic to talk about. Honestly, he looked pretty damn good. Really damn good. To the point where, is he pushing for wide receiver 3 because Travis Fulgham hasn't showed out during training camp, or is Fulgham just a lock for wide receiver 3 and they don't pack 3 burners on the offense right off the rip?
I think what I've heard is that Fulgham's starting to look a little bit better. So let's see what kind of rhythm he can get into, pushing that. But I think the question is if you have these 3 guys who, you're really hoping to get some value out of as young receivers, is kind of how does Rager and Watkins fit? So I think you might bump Rager in the slot, but I really like him out wide. So I'm hoping that they find a way to.
They've actually been doing the opposite. They've actually been putting Watkins in the slot and Rager on the outside. Right.
So I hope that continues, because that's what I like. But at the same time, what I'd like to see, and I think that what will happen, is sort of a rotation. If you can keep those guys fresh and similar to the D-line rotation we got, is that speed will kill. So I think it's not really going to be a wide receiver 3-4 thing. It's going to be different based on the game, based on the matchups. I think it's a clear wide receiver 1, most likely a clear wide receiver 2. But you may see Fulgham, you may see Watkins, you may even see Ward in there.
Stop with the Ward. Let me get my calendar and wipe off 0 days since Morgan has mentioned Greg Ward.
It'll be a.
He froze right in the middle of the tape.
Yeah, so look at that. Greg Ward made you freeze. Look at that. See?
So are you against the rotation?
Route running.
No, I kind of agree. I was I was on the Philadelphia Sports Table podcast yesterday, and I was kind of saying the same thing about because they were saying we were talking about X, Y's, and Z's and all that stuff, and I was like, this offense really you don't need that. Like going into the draft, we were like the Eagles need the next, the Eagles need the next, but now we're seeing this offense come to light. All these guys, Quez, Rager, Smith, Fulgham, J-Jaw. You can put them.
Say that name now.
you can put them in all different spots, and they look like they're gonna succeed because Sirianni's no banana routes are getting to these fucking kids' heads, and they're really getting into it. Like the formations that they can do. I don't think we're gonna see anything we're gonna see in the regular season in the next 2 games. Well, I don't think we're going to see anything. I think Sirianni's same thing that happened with Gannon. Like Gannon played a very vanilla defense against the Steelers, and that's fine. I expected the same thing against the Patriots. Expect the same thing against the Jets. Like it's just like you don't need to show your hand right now. With a new coaching staff, you just need to see who can play and who can't play.
Are you playing Devontae Smith this Thursday?
No, because I want him to play against the Jets. Because I might go to that game. So I don't know, but like I just think I think obviously your 1 is Smith and your 2 is Rager. Like it's no brainers. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be interchangeable. It's really going to be like Morgan said. It's going to be dependent on matchup. Some days you might need a couple burners out there with Watkins and Rager on the same field because just the matchup. The matchup calls it. You might need Fulgham out there. You might need Rager on the outside, Ward on the slot. You might need J-Jaw to recover a fumble in the end zone. Like you don't know what you'll need. So it's just I think it's going to be dependent on matchups. But like Watkins, I will say, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I wrote an article August 21st, 2020. The Eagles may have something special in Quez.
How the hell do you remember the exact date that you wrote the damn article? Did you research it before the podcast?
Tattooed right here. He's got it.
It has to be like August 21st, 2020.
Last year.
Obviously.
I wrote a whole article about how they have something special in Quez Watkins. And I mean, the dude had over 60 receptions in college in his senior year, or maybe junior year, whatever it was. And he averaged 18 yards per catch on 60 freaking receptions.
He was bound to blow up. It was just a matter of like I mentioned before, like somebody told me close to the situation that Watkins was alienated by Carson Wentz in the locker room. They never spoke. They never were on the same page about anything, and which led to Watkins gravitating towards Jalen Hurts. And we're seeing that now. And we're seeing the best out of Watkins because of that comfortability.
Jalen Hurts is apparently quizzing everybody in the freaking hallways. And like Jalen Hurts wants to know, like, do you know your shit? Like,
it's great. Accountability was missing for the last several years.
So you got Jalen Hurts walking by freaking Watkins Rager. Hey, where are you at in this play? And you have Carson Wentz.
How do you think he's approaching him? How do you think he's saying it to them?
Yeah, he's like, yo, dog, yo.
He's just saying the play. He's just like yelling a play, and he's like, "What are you doing on that play?"
This shit right here. Where you at? Right here.
Do you think he's spotting out of nowhere, like out of the hallway, just like, hey?
Yeah, he's hiding in the garbage cans and everything. He's just popping out of the.
What are you doing this route?
Yeah. Like that. But Wentz is walking by, like he just puts his
Gruden voice on. Yeah. Why banana?
Wentz is just going by like howdy, and that's it. Like he's just walking. That's it. He's done. Like
I really feel like that's kind of how Wentz did it.
To be fair, they ran 4 reps last year, so there wasn't that much studying. So
we got 2 questions in the chat real quick, and it has to do with the wide receiver position. Is Greg Ward the odd man out? I feel like me and Chris have been preaching this for 2 months.
There's a question for me, I assume.
It has to be because me and Chris are gonna say yes.
Yeah. I still think he finds it wrong. I just think that, again, I mean, I've said it time and time again, what he brings to the table, and I don't think you have that. I think that the odd man out is John Hightower. That's who I think the odd man out is. I think he had an opportunity to make this roster. I don't think he makes this roster anymore. I'm not even sure they keep him in practice.
Poor Liam.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, yeah, going down the list, like I think J-Jaw might not make this roster. Let's hope.
Which, ironically, is the next question.
Yeah. I think
You really think J.J. doesn't make the roster? I think he does because of his similarities to Pittman. And you need another big body guy outside of Travis Fulgham.
Yeah, he's
right
gonna.
now. You
He's
have
gonna
10
come
wide
back in a
receivers
year.
left.
I feel like he's one of those guys that comes back in a
We
year
have
as a
what?
tight end.
Right now, you have 10 wide receivers left.
Mm.
You have Quez, Ward, Devontae, Rager, Andre Patton, my king, Mark and Michelle,
Did they keep 6 wide receivers at the end of this?
John Hightower, Travis Fulgham, Jamon Osborne, and J-Jaw.
It's going to be J.J.
But like if you keep 6, you're taking 4 out of there. So you're obviously taking Mark and Michelle out. I think you're taking Andre Patton out. So that's 2. You're taking Osborne out. That's 3. Who's left? I think Hightower's gone. I do.
Absolutely.
I think
the
there's
issue with
other
him is that he
people.
felt like the Eagles owed him to start every other game when the wide receivers came back.
Yeah,
You're lucky. They don't owe you nothing.
Yeah, I think Hightower has going against him is that he has 2 players in front of him who can do what he does better than what he does. Like Quez can burn him and catch the ball. Hightower was, I think, either the top or the second highest targeted air yards last year. He was being targeted like 40, 50 yards down the field, and he had out of every single wide receiver that stepped foot and got a target, just one target last year, he had the lowest catch percentage.
It was terrible, and he dropped balls that were right in the breadbasket. Like it was right there for him.
I think his catch percentage was like 30%.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like with Watkins doing what he does even better than Hightower does, you could say Rager does what Hightower does just better, and he gives you a little bit more versatility. Right now, Hightower is we like to throw out that that term, a poor man's this. Like he's not even a poor man's Deshaun Jackson. Like a poor man still has enough money to buy a player better than John Hightower. John Hightower is a bankrupt's man.
Swinging for fences.
Yeah. My guy put on a small tank top and he just put his big boy on.
Yeah.
No, I'll take a
I think what happened too is that we talked about Quez Watkins being a slightly better route runner coming out of college. Now it wasn't a massive gap. Like, to Liam's credit, pretty similar prospects. It wasn't a huge gap, but over the last 2 years, coming out of him in the offseason running that route where he burned that corner, probably not an NFL corner. It looked pretty good, but just the jump and the videos of what I've seen, he knew that this on route running and diversity of routes, and he worked. And John Hightower was prepared to just keep doing what he was doing. And Quez Watkins came in and worked on his route running, and he's a much better route runner from what I've seen.
Did anybody catch any tapes from? I mean, obviously it could have been behind the scenes, but any tapes of Hightower doing any workouts this season or working out with anybody?
I'm sure he was working out.
He was riding his bike.
Or his Dodge Challenger.
There he is. He's at worst Mac Hollins at this point.
Oh, you brought Mac back.
Well, Mac Hollins rode his bike. John Hightower likes to ride his bike.
I don't get what kills me. Like you get you get this opportunity to play a game that you love, and you're playing in at the highest level, and you're throwing away for what?
I mean, who knows? I'm sure he's putting in work. I just think that Watkins has been putting more work in, and he came in knowing what the coaching staff was going to expect of him, and
he knew what was on the line. He rode with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we talk about what happened today, we got another question. Anyone else concerned about Sanders drops? I am not concerned about it because I don't think they're going to use him as a receiving running back that much.
I'm you always got to be concerned about drops.
No, of course, but I think they're not going to completely.
They're not going to completely take him out of the passing game because if you go that route, then you run into Sanders is off the field. They're going to pass it. So
Yeah, I get that.
you're gonna show your hand a lot. So obviously you're gonna have to keep him in that offense. But I do think he's not going to be heavily targeted like we think.
Mhm.
I think he can be good for 40 to 50 targets during the year, but he's not going to get the targets, like he's not going to get the 60, 70, 80 targets that Boston Scott might get or Kenny Gainwell might get combined. It's like last year. A good comparison is what the Colts did last year. You got Jonathan Taylor, who ran for 1169. Nice.
And I think call it two something and change or three something.
Hey, let's get nice in the chat. Nice, 1169. Nice. And he had 36 receptions for 299 yards. So altogether, he had close to 1,500 yards of all-purpose yards right there. Under Sirianni was offensive coordinator. Then you got Nyheim Hines, who only had 380 yards rushing, but he added in 63 receptions for 482 yards. So they were able to get those two back. And then you get Jordan Wilkins, who had 308 rushing yards and then 105 receiving yards. So that could be your Kenny Gainwell right there too. So
I love Kenny Gainwell.
So yeah, he played well.
I love him.
My 2 cents on the drops. Chris, I'm a bit concerned. It's always cause for concern. From my experience, and from what I know, there's a few kind of contributing factors when you see like more drops, or you see. I mean, what we know is a historically good pass catcher change, and one is weight gain. That hasn't changed at all. But the other thing I think that happens is there's so much that goes into footwork when you're catching the ball. Your feet are in the wrong place. We saw a lot of times he was reaching back on
just like he was outrunning the ball.
Exactly. And so that has to change. But he's also dealing with a new running backs coach. He had the same running backs coach the entire time. Deuce was hell bent on making this guy a better pass catcher before he left. And so I think that it's something that will get better as the year goes on. We saw early that, I think there was some video of Singleton changing the angle routes. So they're running, I call them angle routes. I'm sure everyone calls them something different, but Texas routes, just up like little tweaks and stuff like that. But those can be a major difference on where your hand placement is, how fast you're getting your head around. So it's preseason. I know that drops are always a concern, but I do think that's something that's going to get better throughout the year. They're going to work on that. He is a good pass catcher. We know this from college. We know this from his first season. So it might not, we might see a few ugly ones early in the season, but I do think he'll get on top of that for sure. I think it's just the steps in the routes. Hopefully, I know there's been a few drops on like easier routes, but hopefully we're talking about some more complicated double moves and stuff like that. Just, knocking the ball in. We hope. We'll hope it gets better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So sticking around the running back room, Kerryon Johnson was actually waived today on injury settlement. I think it was.
So he carried on off the roster.
Oh, jeez.
Which means we're down to Sanders, Scott, Gainwell, Howard, Huntley, because they waived Killins too.
He signed with the Broncos.
Holyfield's never gonna see the light of day, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, do they keep the 5 running backs? We actually do have a question in chat about specifically Huntley, who has the kick return ability.
I think Huntley apparently has been making some noise in camp. Like he's been really good. So you're gonna have a really tough time like deciding what you want to do there. Like I made this argument a few weeks ago with the wide receivers. Maybe you keep one wide receiver more just to be a returner. Maybe you do that here with Huntley. Maybe you carry 5 running backs. Just make sure Huntley is just going to be your returner. There's plenty of players in the league that are just one thing, and because they do it well. And
but
maybe
if you carry 5 running backs, are you still carrying 6 wide receivers?
Maybe you carry 5 receivers. Like maybe you just carry Smith, Rager, Fulgham.
You don't want to say it. The other guy.
Ward.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I was
Ward
waiting.
and J Jaw maybe, but and then you carry all 5 running backs. Like it's because you obviously you keep Sanders, you keep Gainwell, because if you try to put Gainwell on the practice squad, he's not going to the practice squad, so he's a lock.
You do not cut.
So he's a lock. Boston Scott, apparently everybody loves him, especially Mailata. He's his little rag doll throwing around and kind of picking him up and throwing him over his shoulder in training camp. So you think those 3 are the locks. Then you look at Jordan Howard, who is very, 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 very good at pass block.
And he's very useful without Johnson now.
Pass protection, yeah. So like you need Jordan Howard in there for pass protection. And
this is where I see they could go a different way. And I think that if they're going to IR stash Kerryon Johnson, they could cut Howard. Like this might
that's
be
true. If he makes it through the waivers, he goes straight to IR.
And they could do that, and then they only keep 4.
I know. Howard is apparently impressed in training camp. I'm a little offended by that.
Morgan. I mean, Howard was about to retire before the Eagles.
But he still has a lot of in the tank.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure, but
he's only 2 years removed from being
such a Howie move. It's such a Howie move to IR the running back that they can block, they can pass block, and then cut the other guy, and then bring the other guy back. The other thing too, they're gonna have an extra spot with Dickerson, which is so they might be able to keep both 6 receivers and 5 running backs. You never know, but we'll see.
I'm really hoping they don't cut him now. Like I'm a little,
I hope they do, so I can see you cry.
Wow, that got real personal really quick.
I mean, now you know how I feel about Ward, all the Ward talk, man.
Should we make a Howard thing going on?
Okay, all right. Podcast is
over. So now that they've made their first wave of cuts, should we take our shot as to who the next 5 will be to get to 80 before they cliff dive all the way to 53?
Okay.
I
feel like Chris already has a nice list lined up.
Holyfield. That's one.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm going down this list. I'm looking at more players that they really don't need to see more of, because they really need one more game to because Holyfield's been on the team, a year now, a little more. So, they don't need him. He's gone. I would like to say Kevin Seymour. One, because he's not good, and 2, because he's another Liam.
I feel like you're attacking Liam's brand today. Is this a thing?
That's fine. I also want to say Josiah Scott, because he's also not good, and he's 5'9". How many 5'9" or smaller Scots do we need on this team? We already got freaking one who's 5'5", 5'6".
I think he should be cut, but that's neither here nor there.
You're looking at Rashad Smith, maybe. I
think they might cut one of their D tackles. T.Y. McGill, Rayquan Williams.
Yeah, I think that was my next one too. Like Rayquan Williams, McGill. McGill wasn't good. Again, the Steelers, he had that one sack, but Milton Williams really helped him there.
Milton Williams is a freaking monster.
I cannot wait to pull the receipts. I
think J Fizz means Osman.
Who's Ottoman?
Yeah,
my Ottoman's over there by my couch right now.
What up, Kangaroo J?
Like Ottoman. What the fuck? Your Ottoman's for your couch.
He's been standing all day, so I'll just say maybe it's autocorrect. I'll give him that one. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Don't do that.
I hate autocorrect more than anything in the world, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
It's so inconvenient sometimes.
No, not for J Fizz. No.
I'm trying, my man. I'm trying.
Like Osman and Ottoman. You're looking at let's see here.
I think he's got a point with one of the linebackers. We've got a lot of linebackers, so one of those linebackers could go.
You're looking at maybe Jason Kroom leaves soon. I mean,
I was thinking of tight end too.
Jason, because you do not cut Jackson. You do not cut Jackson. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at Zach Ertz. Obviously, Zach Ertz looking good. Zach Ertz is looking nice. I don't know. But you're looking at Jack Ertz. You're looking at Goddard. You're looking at Tyree Jackson. Dick Rod might be gone. Jason Kroom, who has one catch for one
What
yard,
about
one touchdown.
Hakeem Butler?
Hakeem Butler might get cut. I mean,
Why, he's a wide receiver.
No, he's a tight end.
They have him listed as a
I
wide
know
receiver.
they have him listed as a wide receiver. He's a tight end. I don't know why they didn't switch him, because when they signed him, they signed him as tight end.
They don't want to keep J-Jaw. That's what that move screams.
So?
We don't want to keep J-Jaw. Let's try Hakeem Butler. Yeah.
Did the Butler touch the field last game?
I don't know.
That's a question. If so, not much.
I stopped watching in the fourth quarter.
I went to bed. The second half.
I went to bed.
The first half.
I know the whole point of Gannon's defense is to, have these complex schemes and stuff like that, and he wasn't putting any there out, but watching them run all over us in the second half was tough. I know it's just preseason. I know it shouldn't take it so personally, but that's
that's looking at your depth. Like, if your depth cannot even keep up with the second team, and they're making Dwayne Haskins look like freaking Eli Manning out there.
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins is a terrible quarterback.
Like, that's why I said Eli Manning, not Peyton Manning, because Eli's not even that great, but he's still better than Dwayne Haskins.
Okay, let's get into the subject. Is Eli Manning the most overrated freaking quarterback of all time? Just because he didn't even win 2 Super Bowls. Let's clarify that.
No, I will say, as much as I hate the Giants, the second Super Bowl, I give it to Eli.
I'll give it to him, yes, but the first one is not him.
Oh no,
that's all defense.
His entire defense
and a running game.
And then he went like this. He threw the ball, and then it got caught somehow.
He's grossly overrated, in my opinion. Just like the first round pick for this season, Kadarius Toney, who has not shown up at all for them.
Tony sucks, man.
Like,
I would have liked Toney on the Eagles in the second round, just because I think his skill set.
I thought he would fall to the second round. Why the hell did they draft him so early?
It's good for what Sirianni wants to do, but the first round.
And they have Rashad Bateman still available at that pick.
Yeah. Oof. Yuck.
I'm holding my tongue because
you're holding your tongue, and I need you to release it because
that means you wanted Tony.
Wait, you wanted Tony in the first round?
No. I was holding my tongue about Eli.
Let's hear it.
I'm just saying you could compare him to a guy like Kurt Warner, who played a lot more and played on some really good teams, and that's a Hall of Fame quarterback. And this is no slander to Kurt Warner, but
I feel like it is. Eli Manning, wow.
That's what I'm saying. When you look at the stats, I mean, you got to do some deep dive in there, but there's something to be said for the guy. But yeah, this is the Eagles podcast. I'm not going down that alley, but he's I don't know if he's overrated.
Wow.
He's not underrated that by any means. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
He's definitely not a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's gonna get in because of his name at the end of the day, and because he has 2 Super Bowls, which is ironically just as much as Peyton Manning, even though Peyton Manning was the far superior quarterback out of the 2.
Well, do you see that? Tony Romo's eligible for the Hall. If that stuff starts happening. And this might as well be the Basketball Hall of Fame. We're just letting anyone in.
If Tony Romo gets in, they better freaking helicopter Donovan McNabb over to the ceremony.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, if Romo gets in, everybody's just picking up McNabb. Like, here.
Was it Michael Kendricks that dropped him that one time? We'll bring him back.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyways,
Kendricks just got signed to the 49ers, so he beat that little inside trading BS.
He got one day.
The Niners realized they took the wrong Eagles linebacker. When they cut number 47,
who's still available. Who I still follow his Instagram. He was working on an Eagles helmet the other day. He's not coming back. There's no way.
And I had PTSD. Like, I looked at it, I was like, no.
I think he probably just had it laying around, wanted to run around in it. But
can we talk about the fact that that Quez Watkins apparently manhandled Jalen Mills?
I like that.
The fact that Jalen Mills thought he was going into Philly against his former teammates and trying to talk shit to people who know what they know what he's bad.
He beat him on a double move.
Yeah. Who would have seen that coming?
Oh my god, that had to have been on purpose. So
things to watch on Thursday.
Oh yeah,
We
I
just
saw it.
need people to freaking double move the shit out of Jalen Mills.
I heard they moved him to safety. I thought he's playing safety for them.
Even still, he does play safety,
Yeah.
but still, double move, go on an out route and see him coming, then stop and then go again because he's just gonna forget what he's doing.
I love this. I love the Kayvon trash talk.
I loved it, bro.
Loved
What do you call
it.
it? The check down king?
Yeah,
I could only
check out-
imagine Kayvon yelling that
And
out
just
to
went,
him.
and just went running back right after the whistle, the ball was snapped.
But did you read the full story behind it? I think Mike K put it out. That Kayvon was watching from the sidelines and he was diagnosing everything that Cam kept on doing. Cam kept on doing.
God, I
And
love that, man.
it was a second team defense versus the second team offense with Cam at the helm. I mean, the first team offense with Cam at the helm. Cam got pissed because he kept on, kept on getting called out about it. And then he came back with a second team offense holding Mac Jones on the sideline and still couldn't do anything. Like that.
Yeah.
That just screams
God,
like
man.
I love the attitude of this new team. Like they have a little swagger to them. You've noticed with Sean when he came on the podcast a couple times already. They had this swagger to them. They had this like we're better than anybody thinks, and we don't give a damn what anybody thinks at the same time.
That's a guy too we haven't mentioned who had a fantastic preseason game. That man was everywhere. Everywhere. And I know he's playing with mostly like second team, third team guys, especially the third team, but oh my goodness, everywhere. But yeah, I love Kayvon. I think Anthony Harris and Rodney are rubbing off on him. He's really picking up that side of the game with the mental side for sure. But
I'm looking forward to see how this team is gonna look first week of the season. I'm so over preseason at this point. I just want to see week 1 already. Just give me Atlanta.
Yeah. I want to see a bit more. Like I'm interested. There's some guys like again, he made an interception, but Graylin Arnold. Like there's some interesting guys that I do want to see more of. So I hope that and this is a team really where you do have most of your starters. I want to see more Milton Williams, man.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait until he starts at defensive end and I can pull the fucking receipts. I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait.
I know we won't, but I hope we get a little glimpse of that 3-4. Like I just and again. If that's like does Joe Osman make the roster? Well, then you have to really try out that 3-4.
Yeah,
that guy's been trying to make the roster for the longest time.
I guess that kind of alludes to it being a 3-4 if they say Joe Osman was moved to linebacker.
Yeah.
So like a guy like him who's predominantly an edge, and say that he's going to be a linebacker, like okay, I guess they're going to 3-4.
Well, they moved Jernard Avery back too. So I think it's going to be a mix, but I just wonder how in their heads they're going to figure out whether or not it's worth keeping someone on the roster just for that 3-4 package. Okay. I'm not sure. But Jernard Avery, maybe that's why he's listed there because he's that guy. Who knows?
So real quick, before we wrap up the
Cracking a
podcast,
second beer.
You drinking beer this whole time? It was weird in my head. I'm thinking like, damn, Chris is not drinking on the pod today.
I've been drinking a bottle like this whole time. Like
I didn't even notice it. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay, and look. This is for you. Look.
Oh, you asshole!
I had so many local ones lined up, and I left them at the cottage. I feel bad, but some New Brunswick talent for you guys. But
Chris has my favorite brewery in his hand right now, and I'm a little pissed off now.
I'm sure I'll save you some. I'm sure I'll save you.
Absolutely not. No. That's probably the last can.
No, it's the third can out of 4-pack.
Oh, God. All right, so before we wrap up the podcast, last week me and Morgan went back and forth and talking about things to watch for in the preseason game. There's 3 of us now. We're all here. 6 things to watch for in the preseason game against the Patriots. Who wants to kick it off?
It gets harder as it goes. Okay, I'll go first.
It does get a little hard.
That's why my wife is almost giving birth.
You better say almost pregnant.
Almost giving birth.
So I think. Oh, geez, I don't want to steal the main one because I know that you've been mentioning them all day. So I don't want to steal Quez Watkins. So I'm sure you talk about that. But
go ahead. Do you think?
All right. Well, I think that there was something more interesting to me that I hope we see that they do show a bit more of the defense. I know that's not really what you do in preseason, but I would love to see some 3-4. I'd love to see some people moving around because I think there are a lot of those fringe players on the roster that do play a really significant role in very specific situations. So, if you're going to evaluate them fairly, you got to see that. And I don't think that seeing them in training camp is really enough. So you got to see them during the game. So I'm hoping we see maybe a few more of those packages. Maybe Gannon shows his hand a bit more. But like first like 2 series on defense was so exciting. I got so fired up. And then like the second half was just like vanilla defense in the back. A bunch of guys that don't really play there aren't really going to be playing there. And then Sean Bradley making tackles all over the field, which again I love, but I hope we see a bit more of this game.
Okay, so I'm gonna ride off that. I'm gonna go over something I mentioned in the first last week's podcast. It's the running backs for me. I want to see Gainwell get more touches. I want to see him. I want to see what he can do with more work. I want to see Jordan Howard. I want to see what he can do with more work. Bring in Boston Scott a little bit. Bring in Jason Huntley as well. If we're not going to see Miles Sanders at all this preseason, then I'm perfectly fine with that first and foremost because he started every season so far injured. If we could see the combination of Gainwell, Scott, Howard, just like full onslaught on that, I'll be very happy.
I think, as I mentioned on the podcast I was on yesterday, I think Thursday needs to be viewed as that third preseason game and in previous years. There's no more 4 preseason games. There's 3 this year. So this needs to be that game that the starters get some good run. And I think I would like to see Quez Watkins start the game so he can get reps against the first team defense with Jalen Hurts. Like this is like all his plays on last week, which were phenomenal, and we think he's a star in the making. He did it with Flacco, and he did it with and he's done it in training camp. We really need to see him do it with Hurts. Excuse me, and we need to see him do it in a schemed offense with everything going around him, and a really dialed in defense that are playing, running actual plays. Like I get that he was running around J.C. Jackson, who wasn't running around J.C. Jackson today. Like the dude was he was J.C. Jackson. As soon as Jalen Mills got to that defense, J.C. Jackson decided to act like Jalen Mills. Like it's just Jalen Mills effect. And it's.
I wonder if the J and JC stands for Jalen.
Yeah. Once the hair turns green, we know.
Yeah, I would love to see a starting lineup. As much as I want Smith to rest and play next week for my own selfish reasons, I would love to see. I just want to see an offense of Hurts, Sanders, Smith, Rager, and Watkins together with Ertz also. I want to see it so bad, and I need to see that. I want to see a defensive line of BG, Sweat, Cox, and Hargrave. Obviously,
you want to see a defensive line with Sweaty Cox?
Yes.
Is that what you just said?
Yes.
You're nasty.
Yes. Plugging up holes. Sweat and Cox will just penetrate those holes and just get sacks.
If only we were still doing Manscaped.
Yeah, see Manscaped. See, fuck you.
They missed out on a big
You
opportunity
missed that. That
right
was
now.
a good one right there. See, like the fact that they had Sweat and Cox in the same, like, come on. But then I just want to I know we saw that line last week, but just take one of those guys out and put Milton Williams in, and just let him rotate down that line with other people. I want to see a defensive line now of BG, Cox, Hargrave, and Williams. I want to see BG, Cox, Williams, and Sweat. I want to see Williams playing with everybody on there, and just because he's so good, I want to see Williams do it against a first team offensive line. He's a really good player, and I also want to see the depth do something, because I think if we don't see.
I'm confused by the comments. I thought I was the only one that was confused. So
what's this guy talking about?
It's just came out and said, "I'm sorry, I had to do it. Won't do it again. I promise." I'm confused. I'm concerned as well.
Anyways, if we see this depth get abused again, I think that needs to show Howie that they need to make some moves, because as a whole, as at the first team, the first 22 guys out there, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, that go out there to start the game, I'm very confident in it. I wasn't much more confident in this now than I was last month.
Mhm.
Everybody outside of that, not so much. And we know it's a Philly thing to just be on your second or third string when week 3 comes around. So it's like you need to have confidence in your backups. But right now, I don't have confidence in any of our backups. So I just maybe save defensive line and linebacker. I'm more confident in linebacker depth than I am cornerback depth at this point.
Okay.
True.
What about you, Mark?
Well, I mean, I think we were going, one by one to get to 6, and then Chris just did 6 by himself. So, I mean, you covered a lot, which is good.
I didn't hear those directions.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But I mean, you make a really good point. I'll just add to what your point is, and then I'll add something else. Is like offensive line depth was kind of frightening last week, and you're coming up against a Patriots team who has a lot of good depth. I love Chase Vinovich. They got some other like really good players. They run a confusing front again. I don't know how much we're going to see of that, but just we need to see this offensive line, especially the backups, guys that most of them have starting experience now because of last year and all the injuries.
Morgan, let me interrupt you.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Because I know Brian's looking him up. Brian definitely just saw this comment, and now he's looking him up.
Mighty Mouse.
It's 100%. It's 100%. It's 100%.
Yeah. The UFC career wasn't working out for him.
Just without all the muscles.
I mean, I'll take the muscles. I can make that happen.
Yeah, you also got to be what, like 5'6"? How tall is that guy?
He's 5'3".
5'11". Not gonna work out. Sorry.
That's it. But yeah, okay. And then the offensive line. I'm not really that concerned about like the second string. I think you got Landon Dickerson coming back. You obviously have Dillard now as what you assume is your second tackle, your swing tackle. Hopefully you can play both sides. So yeah, not too bad, but maybe another guy there that would step up. I really like Herbig. So yeah, the depth on that, I don't know. I think again we're talking about practice squad. You can sign some of those guys, but that's what I'd like to add to what Chris is saying. But what I want to see really is some Tyree Jackson. We've heard so many good things.
He went up there in the last game. He went up there to get it last time.
Yeah, and we almost saw a little bit.
I just thought of this. Okay, right. So let's say Ertz stays. Yeah, let's say Ertz stays.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to pay Goddard the big money on extension. I know they were talking about extension already.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Tyree Jackson is legit.
Too early, man.
It's way too early for that.
I'm not saying cut Goddard. Do you roll the dice on a make or break a year on Zach Ertz, who wants a contract extension or a big time contract with someone else next year? So people like to show out in contract years, and then put your chips on the table of a Tyree Jackson having a Logan Thomas type year that led him to
the contract extension, and you send Goddard to another team who needs a tight end who might give you a decent amount. Because I don't think, like, if you're giving up a guy like Dallas Goedert, you're probably getting better compensation for him than you are getting Zach Ertz.
That's true.
Because you're getting a guy who's still in his rookie deal, who's very productive when healthy, and who actually blocks. Like he's a better all around tight end than Zach Ertz. I love Zach Ertz. I love him to death. He's done so much for the team, but Dallas Goedert does more than Zach Ertz does.
And Doug brings up a good point. You mess around with Dallas Goedert's extension, he's gonna end up in Dallas. There's no way around it. He's going to end up in Dallas.
He's getting a torch.
No, he'll end up there, and that's gonna be a lethal offense.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's a team like the Cardinals.
You're feeding off my point. Is we need to see something from Tyree Jack. I've heard a lot, but I would like to see something for sure because it could be, but we don't know. We haven't seen anything.
Yeah, like I think 12 personnel with Zach Ertz and Tyree Jackson. I mean,
might not be that bad.
You probably have to get the ball off pretty quickly because neither of them can block. But but at least you have Tyree Jackson's yak to cancel out Zach Ertz. No yak.
Neck. So to piggyback off of what Chris was mentioning about the starters on defense, I don't like this game. I want to see the starters play a full quarter. I don't want to see 1 or 2 series. I mean, like you said, and like this, they should treat this like their third preseason game, dress up, and let us see the starters. Rest them. I'm sorry to say this. Rest them against the Jets, and just let us see what Hurts can do.
You went to that Jets game with me.
You didn't invite me to this one.
I know you. I know I didn't. I don't plan on it. So
wow.
Hey, just keep the 27th.
Drinking your beer is not inviting you to games.
Drinking my favorite beer.
That caused a
rip.
I hope it's not me.
Just keep the 27th open just in case. Just keep it open just in case.
Oh, I know why. Okay.
Because that's the game.
Yeah, no, I know why, but what happened last year?
Oh, no, like that was like a fun ass game. We saw the Alex Singleton breakout in front of us. Like he had I think like 16 or 17 tackles that game. The dude was a fucking animal. Like we were fucking screaming for him, and my wife was like, "Who the hell is that guy?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
It was like a wrestling match out there, bro.
Man. Like Alex Singleton was all over the field. So this is a game where you can find diamonds in the rough. So maybe Devonta Smith just wants to bully some CB4s, CB5s.
I want to see Kayvon Wallace.
I want to see him mouth off and start making like something happen out there. I think you got the last one.
Last one, what?
You did.
Chris already made like 4 points.
I did all my points.
Yeah. Oh goodness! All right. Well, yeah.
We got like 10.
Really quick for those that are just joining us, we've consistently kept about 30 plus people in this chat on this live stream, which is phenomenal, and it's great to see that. We're live every Tuesday at 8:30. Starting week 1 of the season, we will be having 2 podcasts a week. One will be live on Tuesdays. The second will be a recorded version that we put out on Thursdays. So yeah, until next week, I'm Brian Cameron with Chris Infante, Morgan Burkett. This is Flippin the Birds.
The Birds.
Go Birds.
Yes, sir.